Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us and working with us schedule-wise. We had a quite a robust schedule for the city council meeting coming up here in a couple of weeks. A lot of news to talk about, so I didn't want my vacation over here, business trip to Harvard, to delay us a whole week. So just want to make sure I had a chance to answer any questions you guys had and give you the opportunity to ask anything that you need. So thank you for working with us in the hybrid format here, and I'll go through quickly just a couple notes as we always do. Some reminders we'd love for you to share, and then happy to take your questions. So, first, just a reminder about the welcome sign design contest. Still, submissions are due Wednesday, April 26th at 5 o'clock, and make sure you email submissions at cityofpensacola.com. The skate park ribbon cutting, also another reminder, is Tuesday, May 2nd at 3 p.m. And then the skate park will open officially right after the event. So excited for that. We expect a big turnout, and that'll be May 2nd at 3. There are going to be some delays with possibly going through the airport with TSA. We're going to be replacing some of their baggage screening equipment starting Monday, April 24th. So of course that's next week. And so there might be some delays at that security checkpoint. So we'd certainly love our media partners to share that and get the word out that to arrive, at least 2 hours before your flight. And that construction will happen really throughout the end of this spring and into the summer. There'll be some additional delays because of that, and those will ebb and flow based on the work that's going to happen. It's not going to be every single moment all of that time, but there will be some of those delays. On the good side of things, I want to share at the airport as well. The escalators are back up and working, and I was just there. I can speak as an eyewitness that the escalators are back up and operating. So. That's some good news in progress of trying to modernize and update our existing airport terminal. And then the recycling update you saw, ECUA's release that we're only going to be recycling cardboard here for these about 4 weeks or so as ECUA deals with some of their staffing issues at the MRF. And so not great news for recycling, but certainly, again, want to make sure that we get the word out. The bigger issues, things you may have questions about, you will see a lease for Warehouse 4 at the port for pickleball. It's something we've been talking about now, going on pretty much as long as I've been sworn in, that I'm trying to get all those details ironed out. I'm really pleased with the finished product and pleased to have the opportunity with council's approval to get this project off and going. I think it has the ability to be an economic driver for our community, and certainly a building that hasn't had a leaseholder since 1979. There has been uses right now, even there's folks using it for storage and things like that, but to have an activated use for this warehouse and a public-private partnership that will allow us to have millions of dollars invested into a building that needs it, as well as to potentially have regional tournaments for pickleball, as well as other uses. I mean, just having a 45,000 square foot facility, you could think of a lot of uses, be it conventions, things like that this building would have the capability of filling a need for us in the community, as well as this being a public-private partnership where it's not a capital outlay by the city. It's not, it's truly a partnership in that they're going to come make investments to our facility that we would own, and get that out and activated. Another amenity for our city and for our downtown, I think, is really great. So I'm excited about that. And again, happy to take any questions you have there. The street sweeper list, I know that has completed. Casey, correct, on April 14th, I think was the final. So we ended up with north of 1,500 names, and so we're starting to go through that. And there's some very, very creative ones we were discussing already. So excited and more to come. We don't have an exact date that I know of yet. Casey, correct me, of when we're going to announce those names or how we're going to do it. We kind of wanted to see how much feedback, and we got a lot of feedback. So now we're going to get together as a group and try to figure out the best way, whether we do a group of finalists that folks vote on, or how we'll end up handling that. But more to come, and we'll keep you posted. The American Magic the Triumph Center for Maritime Excellence ask is that there'll be some information. I believe the presentation will be on Monday from Erica Gran-Cagnolo, our economic development, to give ultimately the update on the Triumph ask as it pertains to the port. We're ready to go. We've got a lot of good momentum. I've spent a lot of time in Tallahassee. Been over there 3 times in the last 6 weeks or so, meeting with stakeholders and advocating for this project, not just at the Triumph level, but also additional state funding sources that, I think those meetings have been very positive. And so, I think these next 90 days or so are going to be, tell us a whole lot about the viability of this project that we think is very viable, and to ultimately build this Center for Maritime Excellence on the Port of Pensacola and have American Magic call Pensacola, Florida, its permanent home. So really, really excited about that. We've been working very hard. I know administratively, we've been living it, and certainly at the staff level and the Port of Pensacola, all of our folks there have been working really hard. So there will be an update with more detail for you guys. Again, I'm happy to take any questions you have now, but at the agenda conference on Monday, you'll get the full briefing on what our ask is of Triumph and what that new version of a Triumph port ask looks like compared to the previous administration. The last thing is the restaurant ordinance that you may have seen on the agenda. That is what I think is an opportunity for us to really modernize how we define some of our small businesses in the community. And people have asked me, is this about cask and flights or one particular? I don't think ordinances should be decided by necessarily one particular case or one particular business. This should be whether cask and flights wanted this or not wanted this. This, I think, is a very positive step to define and help entrepreneurs and small businesses thrive here in Pensacola. And that ultimately what we're doing is we're taking the definition of a restaurant. The city to this point has used the same state definition of 151 seats and serving 51% food for us to define them locally in our code as a restaurant. So we're lowering that number. That's a pretty heavy lift for small business owners for that to be the definition of a restaurant, to have that many seats. That's a large space. And so this change will now define a restaurant. You have to have a permit from the Division of Hotels and Restaurants, which means an on-site inspection. You have to have a floor plan and a layout of where your sinks are, where your refrigeration is. I've been through it personally. Actually, one time myself during COVID, we had set up a kitchen in our business, so I know exactly what this process is like. And it's time and money and effort, and it makes sure that this is a restaurant that's is set up to be successful and clean and sanitary for all the reasons we all know. So if they meet that threshold, and now if they have at least 25 seats, that's what we would define as a restaurant. Now, how they get their liquor license, whether that be through a 4COP liquor license that they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for, or if they meet the state definition of the 151 seats and they decide to get an SFS or an SRX license and serve 51% food, that's certainly up to them. But that is between the business owner and Tallahassee. What we're saying in Pensacola is we need to have a more modern definition of what a restaurant is and delineate that between a restaurant and a bar. To that end, because we are in the ordinance, in the ordinance that references how we define things, I've also I'm bringing forward the decision to not have bottle clubs as a use anymore in the city. And that's not for any particular timely thing that's happened in the last week or month or really since I've been mayor. But that I think that's also a positive step for our city, and not that we don't necessarily need bottle clubs that are open at 3, 4, 5 in the morning. We know that those have had policing issues in the past that take a lot of our resources at night. There is no one currently, by the way, just for clarity, there is no one right now that we know of that is operating as a bottle club in the city. So again, this is not reactionary to someone or some business, but as we modernize other things within this ordinance, I thought that this would be a good time to modernize that as well. So So that is all my updates, and I know you guys can fire some questions in, and Casey will read this for you. So thank you guys so much again for being here and working with our schedule.
All right. Yeah, we've got a few. First from Laura at WEAR. Curious about the sign proposal for a graffiti bridge. If approved, what would be the placement of the signs? How far from the bridge, height, etc.? Also, is there a target date for installation?
Yes, good question. What the first thing that you're seeing on the agenda is actually really more around the funding. We're setting up the funding source ultimately. You know, that we expect, as I told you guys, probably in the $140,000 range. But details on exactly where it'll be placed, all of that will happen after this. So you know, we can't work on anything if we don't have the funding for it. And so this should secure the funding needed. And at that point, we will work through on design. And as a matter of fact, one of our media partners reached out. You know, I was on the radio with Andrew today, and he had sent a comment that said, well, you know, if you're driving northbound on the graffiti bridge but you're not trying to go under the bridge, you're trying to go do the boat launch, is it going to hit your boat if you're pulling on a trailer? Those kind of nuance, those things, certainly Amy Tootle in Public Works, David Forte, and our design team, when it's time to put that in, will start to factor all of that. I can't give you a clear definition on you know, it'll be up by July 1st, June 1st, but we've done all the legwork to make sure it's feasible, to make sure we have the permission on the state side of things to do this. All of that is what we've been working on. This will be the funding mechanism, the funding source, and then the next steps are design and construction. So, you know, if I wouldn't want to be held to an exact date, but I would imagine, you know, it would probably be a few months, probably, you know, if I were to generalize it, I would say at some point in the summer is when that would be up and running.
All right. And we have another from Randy Wood at Channel 3. Tonight, the council has a special meeting regarding the old Trailways Bus Station, which I think has actually been rescheduled, if I'm not mistaken. The Architectural Review Board rejected tearing it down for a parking lot. Have you heard anything that could change anyone's mind?
No, I haven't. And, you know, I haven't been intimately involved in the details of this issue, but, you know, I am big on preservation. I mean, you've seen we you know, certainly when we thought Truth for Youth and that historic building was potentially in peril, you know, we tried to step in and make something happen there. Fortunately, that had a positive outcome. And, you know, I understand, you know, the rights of a private property owner, but I also understand, you know, the argument that says, you know, you can't let something fall apart and then say, well, we're going to knock it down because it's fallen apart. You know, so I understand certainly the position that has been taken on the other side as well. So no, but in terms of a status update or anything like that, I've not heard any change in opinion. That has not, you know, or that there's going to be any wavering on that side has not come across my desk.
All right, and another question from Laura at Channel 3, which I can actually probably help answer because I was communicating with Chief Craner. She was asking about any new info on the Zaragoza fire investigation and the latest update from essentially the state fire marshal, which is now the longer name, the Bureau of Fire Arson and Explosive Investigations. Their investigation is still ongoing and they expect it to be concluded in the next few months. But Mayor, if you have anything if you have anything else to add.
We're going to certainly let, you know, I have not been given any update or seen any update, obviously, to the investigation because it hasn't been completed yet. So no new news on to share or report on that front.
And then from Jim at PNJ, can you give us the figure/amount for the Triumph request and what is the total cost of the project?
I can tell you what, as of now, you know, expected to go in May, that the Triumph request is 10 million. And you know, we've had several meetings with, you know, Triumph staff and just with, you know, and I'm very appreciative of Triumph staff and how much time they've worked with us because when we bring something forward, we want it to get across the finish line. So, you know, we're doing our legwork, and Erica and Rebecca and Clark at the port have been working very diligently to be able to make that happen. So that 10 million as of right now is the ask, and of course that amount could fluctuate or change between now and the 11th, but the principle of the project isn't going to change. And as far as the project cost, we're expecting that's a complicated answer only in the fact that there's different phases that we are looking at. But ultimately, if I were to ballpark it, I would say that the project cost is somewhere in the $15+ million range. And the proposal is to renovate and add on to with additional amenities onto Warehouse 10. The existing warehouse that is there now is what the Triumph ask will be involved.
We don't have any new questions, right? Well, something just popped up. And just a reminder to the media, there is a bit of a delay between us and the live. So if you have questions, please submit them now. If you already have them, don't wait, because I don't want to end the meeting if you're trying to still type your questions. But from Jim, we just got another one. You're proposing an ordinance along with Councilman Jones that would repeal the ban on skateboarding on sidewalks. Can you talk about why you're bringing that forward?
Yeah, and this was really the brainchild of Councilman Jones, and had a good conversation with him about it, and asked if I was willing to co-sponsor. So he is really the one that brought this forward. But honestly, this is just kind of like what we talked about with bottle clubs and restaurants. It's modernizing old ordinances. At the end of the day, is that I think we're an outlier as a community that still has a no skateboarding ordinance, and understand sometimes it's a sign of the times. Maybe that was a bigger concern way back whenever this was initiated, but the irony is not lost on me that we're building a skate park and then we have a no skateboarding, a prohibition on skateboarding in the city, even in certain areas. So as I said, this is something that Councilman Jones is really behind and wants to support, and certainly I'm supportive of this move as well. So just yet another example, which I guess maybe is a little bit of the theme of this upcoming council meeting next week, is trying to look at things that we haven't looked at in a long time and get them up to where they make more sense for 2023.
All right, we don't have any new questions right now. Mayor, it's up to you if you want to hang on for a minute in case we get.
Yeah, I can wait a few seconds here in case something else pops in, but again, I appreciate the time, and I heard the meeting the last council meeting, I wasn't there for, was 31 minutes. This one between pickleball and restaurant ordinance and American Magic. Well, American Magic will be on Monday, but we'll have a lot much more robust and a little bit longer meeting. But I'm really appreciative. That's just kind of how it crumbles sometimes when we're working on stuff every day, and where it fits. So. But I'm really excited about these. Are some big, significant, positive steps for us. I'm really looking forward to this meeting and the conversation with council about a lot of these issues that, and I think a lot of them in their own way really are, again, great positive steps for the city of Pensacola, whether it's activating an unused, underutilized warehouse, whether it's helping small businesses be more successful, and us being more vibrant as a community with restaurants, and certainly what I believe could be a generational win for the city of Pensacola is the Center for Maritime Excellence and American Magic. I think that I tell people all the time, you could we'll never have an NFL team in the city of Pensacola. The closest thing that we could ever have to truly a professional sports home, a professional sports franchise, would be this opportunity. And so we certainly aren't going to let it get away from us. So excited about that. But Casey, if you don't have any more questions, then we're all good. Thank you yet again for your flexibility with changing days and going to Zoom, and we should be back to our regular scheduled Tuesdays next week. So thank you guys so much for the time.